You want to see something extremely funny? So, DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency, for those of you who have had a better past few weeks than the rest of us, obviously they have been promising to cut the budget of the federal government, and they have largely been lying about the extent to which they have done so. This, absolutely incredible, okay? There was recently a polymarket bet that was canceled because the numbers being put out by Doge are so unreliable that they don't even want to hold bets on it. Like it would denigrate the credibility of the poly market in order to accept any outcomes on it. Look at this. The poly market says it's no longer taking bets on whether Elon's DOGE will cut $3 billion worth of DEI contracts by the end of February, as its own data tracker is too unreliable. The market asked, will Doge cut $3 billion of DEI contracts before March? It had a volume of 16,352. The outcome was based on data collected by Doge Tracker. However, they canceled the market because the underlying data used for the market's resolution source changed. It said this market will resolve to 50-50, all losses will be refunded. Or, in other words, because Doge is altering the numbers on the government record sheets in order to match the claims they're making on Twitter, there is absolutely no way to assess the reliability of these claims, short of like independent historical research, which they can't rely on the Doge tracker. They'd have to go like bit for bit. Polymarket, yes, very credible people. Well, no. That's the point though. Polymarket isn't credible, but Doge is so unreliable that even Polymarket won't accept bets on this. For a relatively small pot, too, 16,000. I mean, we're not talking about like a huge bet here or anything like that, you know? Polymarket is evil, not lacking credibility. You don't want to operate a betting site where the outcomes are determined via subjective analysis or like non-transparent, opaque, difficult to read analysis. You know what I mean? Like, you really don't want a bet to be resolved and for people to be arguing over who actually won because, like, the people who were reporting the numbers that you're relying on were lying to begin with. What's a poly market? It's like a online betting site where you can bet on anything, basically. Really funny. Poly market had to cancel an entire prediction market and refund everyone's money because the data from Doge on their own work can't be relied on. This is about as, like, scathing of an indictment as possible because I feel like there is a massive overlap between people who like Doge and people betting on the poly market, you know? Like, if anything, the kind of people who bet heavily on the poly market would be both believing and heavily invested in the idea that Doge would cut lots and lots of money from DEI programs. So it is very funny that even in that inner community, yeah, the Venn diagrams, they're lining up nicely. So untrustworthy the poly market doesn't believe in you. Poly market's Doge tracker can't keep up with Doge mistakes, proving to be an unreliable source when it comes to reporting government savings. Indeed, the 55 billion figure the organization currently lists as its total savings has been called greatly exaggerated and even fraudulent. Who would say that? Electric Futures exposed a number of errors made by Doge, claims the agency is correcting its work in response to their findings. Yeah, we actually covered this yesterday. The specific bits of forgery they're engaging in order to cover their tracks. If you want easy money, the poly market is starting to place bets on the Majority Report. Did Kamala Harris buy ads on the Majority Report? Only a 1,400 volume and a 5% chance. I should have gotten in on this early. I'm not a gambling man. I think gambling is degenerate, and I mean that sincerely. But that is a funny bit. Kind of crazy that, like, you could, I could, through a shell, open up bets on myself to that effect. Like, the amount of, essentially, like, insider information that you can bet with is insane on the poly market. Am I remembering it wrong, or did Cenk accuse them of that? I don't know if Cenk accused them of that. I do know that, like, people massively overstate the extent to which Democrats invest in grassroots advertising and organizing. Did TYT used to be trustworthy? I mean, they used to be better than they are now. I can't speak to that, like, in an objective sense. They did get bought out at some point. I am glad, though, that my, like, initial estimate of them getting bought out has now proven itself to be so obviously correct that nobody really even argues or disputes it anymore. Like, you look at TYT's output and production, and it's just so, like, diametrically opposite. People, I think one of the things that I struggled with in terms of communicating to my audience is that TYT had a sudden heel pivot on a lot of their positions, and people were sympathetic to that, that it might be organic or for legitimate reasons. And the reason for that is because a lot of people in my community are like 16, 17, 18-year-olds who themselves have had a big political pivot. And you have to understand, there is a big difference between being a high school senior who's reevaluated a lot of their life positions and being a 48, 52, 65-year-old who's been in political organizing and activism and has been broadcasting their opinions for decades, very rapidly shifting all of their positions to very conveniently align with a different set, and coincidentally, a more profitable, more lucrative set of talking points, you know? Very, very different, you know? And all just because of trans women? Well, I don't think that was the actual reason. I just think that was like the chosen, you know, for Anna, that was just the chosen thing to dig your heels in the ground on. There were plenty of other signs. It's a tragic pathway from the alt-left to the alt-right. Yeah, but the alt-left isn't a real thing. Matt Taibbi and Russell Brand were never actually, like, on the left. Not really. Glenn Greenwald had a much more, like, authentic pivot, I guess, in the sense that he used to actually do stuff that would indicate progressive politicking, but, you know. Well, there's no such thing as the alt-left. The alt-right is a euphemism for Nazis. Like that, like there's no such thing as the alt-left. There's no parallel to that, you know? Surely MLs are stop alt-left. Stop trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, okay? Not everything needs a perfect analog, okay? Political compasses aren't real. There are no parallels. If there is an alt-left, it's definitely tankies. No, it's not. You're just fitting things. You just like categorizing stuff because you're addicted to 4X games, okay? You want to put everything in a category so you can fill out an asymmetrical map that you'll show to your parents to explain. Shut up. The alt-right is an extension of the political tendencies of the right. They're Nazis extended from social conservatism. That makes sense. Tankies have nothing to do with the left or progressivism. If anything, you're legitimizing them by pretending that they're alt-left, because then the implication would be they're just a more extreme version of being progressive. In reality, they align with the right. All of the tankies have ended up having the same talking points as the damn Republicans, as the MAGA types. Look at how they talk about Ukraine. Look at the Maupin types, exactly. Stop legitimizing their bullshit by arguing that they're actually, like, our ideological companions. They're not. These things aren't real. You're just making shit up. Alt-left are like anarchist polycule people? No! No, you're just saying things. Shut up. Jesus. You don't have to express every thought that drifts into your mind, okay? Just close the damn door. Would you call that horseshoe theory then? No, because that would imply that tankies are on the left. Who's on the left then? Me and maybe 5 of you. Someone talking about tankies a lot these days is a huge red flag to me now, TBH. Yeah, they don't exist anymore. Who the fuck is a tanky, man? What do you mean? You mean Republicans? What are you talking about? The mainstream MAGA position is that NATO expansionism in Ukraine started the invasion from Russia. North Korea isn't actually that bad. Like, there's no... Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard was a tanky. Now she's in Trump's cabinet. Exactly. Exactly.